Hello, welcome back to Live Reality Games Podcast. My name is Steven, and I'm back with more Surviving Bloomington content. We're here today to talk about Episode 7, the Merge, and also the Redemption episode. And here with me today, I have Keenan. Keenan, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty excellent today, Steven. How are you doing today?
It's been a good day, but I'm thrilled to be talking with you. We've talked about Survivor BC, we've talked Surviving Realfoot, heck, we've even talked about the CBS Survivor, and so I'm excited to hear your take on Surviving Bloomington.
Well, I'm really excited to give my take too. I had never heard of Survivor Bloomington once until actually last summer when I met KC for the first time. As many people may know, KC was on my original tribe and my first swap tribe in Surviving Realfoot Season 10, where we had the game at a bit of a rivalry. I had not known that Casey's olive branch was actually an olive branch. I mistook it completely, and we were adversarial for the remainder of my time there.
But thankfully, once the game ended, you were able to talk things out and figure out what was actually going on, right?
Oh, absolutely, and we chitter chatter back and forth all the time, all the time. He is a fantastic guy. We have got way more in common than we even wanted to talk with each other in the game.
That's always a dangerous thing, right? You find a person like, my gosh, this I want to be best friends with this person. But you're like, if everyone sees me want to be best friends with the person, what I have to hide it, right? Because that's too much.
Indeed, it does. That there are dangers to having a social game in this case, but in this episode, there are major pluses.
So I have to ask, what are your thoughts on the season so far? We've now kind of wrapped up the pre-merge. The merge is about to begin. Tell me what you think.
The season so far, you could tell why these people are here for All Stars, whether they've played Bloomington or not. Two have not played Bloomington. The rest, or maybe it's three, but the
Yeah.
rest. Thank you. Yeah, one was PCT. I think I can't remember which
Connor.
one, but no, you can tell exactly why they're back here. Like you see people enter with broad targets and neon paint painted right on their back, yet somehow, some way, just with the skin on their teeth, make it past. Not even the skin on their teeth, they're just so visible that they make it, and you could
So
tell why. You could tell why.
have you had a favorite player or favorite players?
Favorite player.
Also, we have a shout out from Surviving Bloomington themselves.
What up? Always good to hear from the host himself. But favorite players it is a little bit of a race. I'm getting good thoughts about Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
He seems to always have the head on his shoulders. As we saw a few episodes prior, Braun practically bullcrapped him. He's safe,
Mm-hmm.
and he saw right through it. He knew that it was all a trick, and he had him beat to the punch. Like he discussed with every other person who was not one of the Braun four. There were four. If I'm correct, there were four Brauns, right?
Yeah.
Four Brauns on red,
Mm-hmm.
and he talked with the non-Brauns and did something. I would have preferred to aim a target at a bigger threat. Maybe somebody who already won. But but you know what? Things happen for a reason, and I do think maybe Redemption Island was a thought factor in this. So another
so
player
one
that I'm getting pretty fascinated about. This person has actually had a discussion about me on a live stream before. This is the very first time I actually saw this person before I saw a live game. Miss Hannah. She, I believe, had a discussion with you, Kirk, and Dustin on the
Mm-hmm.
very first Live Reality Games BC podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It was right in the smack middle of the pre-merge, discussing everybody who was left in the game, and you know, I could actually I could see her becoming a really strong force in the merge. She had a vote at her first three tribal councils and escaped every single one of them. But she, but this is that it's surprising me because she's never played Bloomington before. She's never had a chance to interact with these people before.
Mm-hmm.
in an All-Star season when these people have played a common game, you even see it on the real CBS Survivor. They've had at least a chance to maybe even pre-game a bit and have that connection.
Mm-hmm.
She's had none of that, and look where she's at.
So I have to ask you, let's say you're playing a season, there's all or some returning players. Let's say there's a former winner in the cast, maybe call him Tyler, I don't know. What are your thoughts about playing with former winners? Are you looking to take them out early? Are you looking to use them as a shield? What's your philosophy?
I see both philosophies, but if they're on my tribe, shield. If they're not on my tribe, take them out. Something I desperately tried to do, but we all know the story there. We don't need a rehash. But that being said, it was a relief the season after mine that pre-made connections meant SFA.
So do you think we have two returning winners in the merge for starting Bloomington? We have Boogie and we have Adam. Do you think they have a shot to win that gets the end?
At this point, they seem to have toned down their radar that no one even wants to get him out. Adam hasn't even had votes yet, but but I think come the individual phase, if either of them start dominating some challenges or at least coming close to first place, the radar is going right up.
Is there a player in this cast you kind of look and say, like, I feel like I play most like them, or I wish I played more like them? Is there anyone who does that for you?
Honestly, I could just respect Adam's gameplay. He knows how to just put his heart into the game, yet he also knows when to tone it down and when to just put it right up. You know, he keeps it down for the talks before tribal council and for strategy. Puts it right up in the challenges.
Yeah. You've never played a season that actually has a redemption component to it. If you did, do you think that would affect how you target people and vote people out pre-merge, or you just roll with it as normal and just deal with the consequences of whoever comes back?
Honestly, I would just feel out the consequences. They were out for a reason. But at the same time, if they do come back to bite me in the ass, you better believe that I'm buttering them. I'm buttering them as best as I can.
So this episode kicks off with, we get to see a little fallout from the Blue Tribe. The Blue Tribe at last Tribal Council voted out two players back to back. And we get to see some snippets of conversation where we have Boogie explaining to Devontae why Devontae was out of the loop. Devontae did not vote for Alyssa. He voted for Mia. And so Boogie was describing like why it had to happen the way it did. And we get to hear Mia and Hannah talk, and Mia's telling Hannah how much she trusts her and like how she has kind of battled with Boogie. Looking at this group of four, do you think this four will go far?
They seem to be just a tad bit fractured after the after previous travel. Red doesn't seem that much less fractured, but I see Devontae pulling off some tricks to just integrate himself. I think this is, actually, I forgot to mention when you asked me about players, Devontae. Like, I have never seen a gallows sentence. Like, he's in line. He's almost ready to be hung. I've never seen a gallows sentence be that dodged before. Not even on CBS Survivor. I've never seen a certain elimination be avoided like that. Ever.
Again, shout out to the shot in the dark and the reworking for making that happen, because that was a beautiful moment.
Yes, but I mean that just shows how well of a social player Devontae is.
Now,
KC.
So when we get to the merge, right, and people are like, Devontae, how are you still here? And Devontae says, well, I had a tribal council pass that had been given to me by a player from Redemption, which is, I think, a fine lie, except people at Redemption watched the tribal council. Notably, we saw Griffin going like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And those two players are back in the game that know he played the shots in the dark. What are your thoughts on that lie from Devontae about lying about using the shots in the dark and claiming he had a tribal council pass instead?
Well, if Devontae's story proves to be stronger than the actual truth that Griffin and Stacy will provide later, then maybe Devontae could just slip himself in there. He might be onto something, because in these games it is so hard to tell who is telling the truth or not. Like you can mistake the truth for a lie very easily, because depending on the skill of the person who's lying and depending on the perception of the person, the perception will be read. And if there's already been some wrongdoings from the person telling you the truth already, you're still very much less likely to believe the truth. But I do think, I think since no one else on Devontae's original, like maybe not original, but swap tribe outed him right then and there, or at least we didn't see it, they might be a little bit more united than Red.
I'm assuming that's a lie you can only tell when everyone's on board. Right?
Yes, exactly. If everyone else is on board with that, then prior to it, and they might be able to just settle their fractures when it comes to Final Four.
So Casey comes to this merged tribe, right? We have 6 Red 2.0, 4 Blue 2.0, and says, hey, 2 people are coming back in the game. One's through Redemption Challenge, classic. The other's going to be through a vote. Y'all are going to be voting someone back in the game. And if you were, let's say, swap yourself in for one of the players in either tribe, who would you want back in the game? Who would you want to vote back in the game, mind you?
Who would I want to vote back?
Yeah.
That is really good. I would want to vote back someone who I would actually want to vote Meredith back in the game, because she knew she was on the outs with Braun. She was giving some inkling about that, how she knew she was on the outs, and the Brauns even knew about that. And I think that would have been a good way for maybe the Brain and Beauty to actually reel her in, work together. Because as we saw in my Reelfoot season, when Casey was left right on the outs of that vote, he flipped at the first chance he got at the swap. It was game over.
Yeah, I wonder if David from the original Braun tribe could have been good for that too, because he was completely blindsided by his tribe, but he and Mia both were.
Yeah, well, that also might have been a good option, but Meredith was also like heavily convinced she was in that kind of core group, then being proven she's not.
So if you're, let's say you're Adam, let's say you're the lines of Adam, Rosie, Megan, and is it just those 3 now?
I think it's, let's
say you're Adam, Megan, Rosie. Who would you want to bring back? Are you also looking to bring back Meredith because she was idled out and is still working with you, or are you looking to bring someone else back?
Well, if you could hide your lies that Meredith was on the outs, then I think that could be done. Meredith is a little skeptical though, so any kind of information passed down at Redemption Island could affect things. But Meredith also was not on. She might be a little less likely to, because she was not on any of the other people's tribes, except for was it David? Was it
David? Yeah,
the first boot. And so I think that was I think that could be the nail in the coffin. But if Mia was also left out on the vote and she's now with the Beauties, I think she might be working with them. It could be a Beauties game to win.
I should have asked you to start. Do you see yourself as a Brain, Brawn, or Beauty? Which of the 3 tribes would you like to be on, if you could choose?
That's choosing each one of them is blowing my own trumpet. So this is so hard to not be an asshole, pretty much. Yet, I have to choose one. I'd say Beauty.
Interesting.
I think the long hair kind of does it.
You're gonna do your best Aussie impression, maybe, with your hair.
Well, yes, I do model kind of. Actually, believe it or not, I first had long hair when I was 15 years old, and my mindset was that I wanted it like Aussies. Believe it or not, my mindset was I wanted it long like Aussie.
Now, one of the other wrinkles with this whole redemption vote is that Valencia Burns, she's saying that she can definitely see the Aussie comparison. So you have someone who agrees with you.
Well, that's awesome. I'm gonna practice my spearfishing then. I've never once used a Hawaiian sling. Never once.
But never say never. It can still happen.
Mm.
So one other aspect of this redemption vote is that idols and advantages are still in play. You can still idle out to make sure someone doesn't get back in the game. You can play extra votes to try to bring some back in the game. Would you be willing to use an advantage in a vote like this?
Like in a vote to bring someone back in the game?
Yeah.
Well, these advantages would actually be used to prevent someone from coming back.
Well, yeah, extra vote. Like you can extra vote someone who you want to come back, or like let's say you can block someone else's vote or steal a vote. Let's say you have access, you have one of those. Would you want to use it in a vote like this?
It would depend on how really desperate you were. I would only use it if desperate, because honestly, there's no circumstance that I'd want to risk so much life in the game. Like knowing how my risks have done me in so much in my games, this wouldn't be worth it for the long term, because you might need some extra bullets when you're in the most vulnerable position, say at final 6, or you just can't get the necklace on you. You really want some more shots in the dark.
Yeah, I'm curious. Let's say, imagine if it was a 5-5 split and there's a revote and it's still a 5-5 split. Do the remaining like players in Redemption draw rocks so he comes back in the game? There's so many questions about the mechanics of this and what would have happened. But maybe if there is a 5-5 split and you're like, we need the numbers because these alliances are set and aren't budging, you maybe play an idol to get that 6th player, reel them in, final top 6 baby together. I don't know.
Okay, well, maybe in this case, I could actually see an extra vote being put on a player as a beneficial thing, because then you could whisper to that player, add an extra vote, and then they're a little bit more receptive to you. When they know what you've done to help them, that's what builds the social game. It's why I said that social game here is more of a help than a hindrance in this particular episode. And truth be told, the person who comes back is Stacy.
And we'll talk a lot about that.
Okay.
So let's talk through these challenges, right? So the traditional redemption is, and it's kind of you first secretly choose whether you want to do a balance challenge, do the balance water bottle on top of a wooden square above your head, or a memory challenge. You have to repeat back patterns. Which would you have chosen?
Memory.
Really? Why?
I think I've always been decent with imagery. I've always kind of given myself kind of like a little method to at least remember certain symbols. Like the one in BC where it was like memorizing religious symbols to connect to a letter. I couldn't do that, but it's like a palm tree, a skull. I could just hum in my head. Okay, like count on my fingers. Like S for skull, T for tree. Or since a few other items begin with T, like I'd say P for palm tree. And just kind of count on my fingers like that. Or same way, like how you have those containers with pills for throughout the week. How it's like labeled MTWTFSS.
Yeah.
Like the first days of the week, kind of like that.
Gotcha. I like the idea of like kind of having something physical with your hand to kind of give yourself something else to help memorize a pattern. That's cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, and also like a good way, like I always try to remember people's birthdays as best as I can throughout these games. Casey himself will tell you, and because it's all numbers to me. It's all numbers to me, and numbers are actually quite an decently easy subject for me, and like literally my dad growing up would just give me a times table out of the blue when not even focusing on anything math related, and he would just expect me to answer. Like he'd practice with me.
Are you sure you don't want to be an accountant? You make a great accountant.
Too much, honestly, too much pressure. You don't just have to have work done right; you have to have it done fast.
Yeah,
I do not.
that is the problem with public accounting.
I would be very, 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 very bored doing accounting. A few of my comrades from BC have done that, and they're decently good at it. They're cut for it. I respect it. I myself, nah, I like working with my hands a little better.
That's fair. So, if you had chosen the memory challenge, you would have been up against 4 of the 5 other people, right? Because we end up having James, Griffin, David, Stacy, and Meredith. 5 of the 8 players all choose to go compete in memory, which is interesting. So you have a kind of a little of a lopsided balance there. And one thing that I thought was cool is that players, because they're raising money for a local charity in Bloomington, if they reach certain fundraising thresholds, they receive advantages in the game. And the advantages can manifest as basically extra lives in these redemption challenges. So even if they mess up, they can still keep going with redemption. I thought that was really cool.
Yes, I think it's very fascinating as well. Casey made it very clear when he first told me about the project that he hosted that it was to raise money towards homelessness.
Mm-hmm.
And actually living in Vancouver, there is a very rough part of downtown Vancouver. Even though we don't really get a hell of a lot of snow here,
Mm-hmm.
the winters are just they
Yeah.
are a bitch to handle, and they're very wet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's there are places for shelter, but they're just knowing a lot of the mindsets down there. There's a lot of addiction issues.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes super unsafe to even touch that area.
Mm-hmm.
And so knowing that money could be raised for this cause in the Midwest, at least,
Mm-hmm.
it's a start to making things a lot better, and maybe spreading its course around North America to end homelessness.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Casey's project definitely is a really good one to look into. Seeing how much of a crisis it is here in Vancouver, and it could be even worse in the Midwest, because the winters people could actually freeze to death.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I like that Casey's super charitable that way.
So in this first challenge, the memory challenge, we end up seeing Griffin beating out James at the end. And do you think you could beat Griffin because in that challenge?
He did get it. I don't think he got a single one wrong. And I mean,
Yeah.
like normally when both people get it wrong, you kind of redo, but he didn't get one wrong. I think he had mentally, it was just a lot more tough. I think it may have gone a few rounds longer, but if I was there, but I gotta hand the credit to him. He did what no one else could do.
Yeah, no, because James had a second try, Stacy had a second try, and there was a close call for Griffin, but he was able to get to the end. And I thought it was fascinating with hearing that Griffin and later Alyssa are both the redemption winners of their respective seasons. And so it's just like you really have to admire people who can really show up and like compete and perform in these high pressure challenge situations. I mean, you lose individual immunity, it's like, oh well, I can get by, but like these do or die moments with redemption, it's impressive.
Yes, it's very impressive. What's even crazier is that it's actually 2 brains entering back the game.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and it'll even out the playing field. It's gonna we'll talk about that a lot more soon. Don't worry.
Right.
We have that second challenge, the balance challenge. This is only Brianna, Connor, and Alyssa. Alyssa ends up winning this challenge, but my favorite moment is Connor just kind of meanders around the field and just like squares up, so he's staring Alyssa in the eye. It's like, what's going on, as Connor keeps changing things up on her with what he's doing. That was pretty amusing.
It's amusing, but not a move I would do. You want to be a statue.
Well, because
that pays off.
It looked like it was like because he was moving his hand kind of like this to this, up and back, and it was when it was kind of behind his head and he couldn't focus on the water bottle. That is when it just the tilt happened and it fell off. I felt bad.
Yeah, but like I said, that's why you want to be a statue.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to move. Like you want to taunt, but in the end, I do think it bit him in the ass a bit.
Yeah, and I think Casey talks about this in the episode, but Connor and Alyssa, they apparently have a big rivalry from Survivor PCT. And so I think, gosh, didn't they say like they were allies until Alyssa backstabbed Connor at the final six or something like that? So it would have been very interesting had like they stayed in the game and been able to go up against each other and see what that was like.
Well, history is repeated. She remains the victor.
Yes, I mean, but yeah, she wins that challenge on him. And then we have an intermission. I think, and Casey can correct me if I'm wrong, I think there was this intermission because Casey was airing it live, I think somewhere locally for people to come watch, which was pretty cool, which is maybe why there's an intermission. I did appreciate it as a kind of a great way to plug future seasons of Surviving Bloomington, which applications are out and you can apply for right now.
Yes, indeed. But I was invited to watch the event in Bloomington, but I can't exactly be spending a lot of expenses on flights right now. As much as I would absolutely love to, I've never even been to the state of Indiana.
So. Isn't that just right in the backyard of Vancouver? I don't understand.
Really? No, Indiana. It's on the other side of the continent. No, it's no, I would have to I'd have to go to Ontario and drive down there.
It would have been tough. It'd been amazing if you could make it, but that would have been a trip to get there.
Well, I mean, I would have enjoyed driving down there, like have it kind of be like a Dumb and Dumber road trip. But maybe even pick up a hitchhiker and show them the most annoying sound in the world.
Casey admits you aren't missing much in Indiana. Canada's way cooler. So
yeah. Well, at least hey, I might run into the tie-dye pirate in Indiana. For a while, he was the sole representative of Survivor CBS players to play and to be from Indiana.
Who else is from Indiana that's played on CBS Survivor?
Rupert Bonham.
I mean, but who else besides him?
Scott from the second Brains versus Bronze versus Beauty.
Gotcha.
I believe Lindsay from the first Brains versus Brawn versus Beauty. A few others, but they're not exactly they're not that well known. So I mean, none of them are as colorful. So they'll literally just fly over your heads. But
so the secret to being well known is be from Indiana, wear tie-dye, and steal everyone's stuff.
Yes. There was my stealing. I stole for the Drake. But no, I mean, it would be so cool if he actually watched Survivor Bloomington, because I know he has his own little project to help the troubled youth and everything. A lot of those people wind up experiencing homelessness as well. So it would just be kind of cool how it just kind of collides. Like,
all right, Casey, Keenan's issuing a challenge. We need you to get Ruford or some Indiana Survivor alum to come to your game. Good luck.
I think I might have mentioned that. I mean, bit of reservation, but that's a way other different topic. We just had that. It was just a big either jury or after party discussion. But Casey knows how to run his show. And a little fun fact about this: I think this season was actually made right after Casey came back from Reelfoot.
That would probably line up because Reelfoot's early June, so most likely this was filmed later June or July. That's when a lot of live games happen.
Well, he actually had Devontae was actually supposed to play Reelfoot.
Oh, interesting.
He caught the Rona and had to be cut from the cast. That is why it was a schoolyard pick.
Now, I thought we were missing a female player in the most recent Survivor Reelfoot season. I thought it was in balance female players, not male players. Am I wrong?
No, I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was
because James was the extra player at the end for the male, and he got to choose what tribe he wanted to go on.
No, I think it was two extra guys. Because season 9 was also extra in the males.
Gender balanced casts are the dream for these games, and they're hard to achieve.
You have played a gender balanced cast though in BC.
I have played 2 gender balanced casts, yes, and Survivor BC, Rock Rain Valley, and Survival Challenge 2018.
Yeah, well, there's
I don't know
Yeah,
what it says for my games. I
no.
do much better when there's gender imbalance. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Sample size is too small.
you honestly, at least in Real Foot 10, despite the imbalance, a girl did win.
That's true. So we have so now there's two females real foot winners. We have Angela in season 10 and Jumi in season 7. But let's get back to surviving Bloomington now, shall we?
Absolutely, absolutely. Where are we at Surviving
Uh,
Bloomington?
the final challenge, the final redemption challenge is a heads up of Alyssa versus Griffin. Both are redemption winners from their respective seasons, and it is answering trivia questions to open up a number lock, and then using the puzzles inside the box to solve the puzzle, which is from the first ever immunity challenge. It's a Surviving Bloomington logo jigsaw puzzle. And it looked close, but Griffin ends up pulling off a victory.
He was brain tried for a reason. As well as was Alyssa. This is pretty tailored.
I am extremely excited for Griffin to re-enter this game. I don't know. I love the way he talks about Survivor. You can tell he's super enthusiastic and really into it. And I think he gets to kind of come in with a bit of a clean slate, especially with how messy this merge I think it's going to be.
Well, yeah, I was a little bit disappointed that there was such a cliffhanger on this merge, but I think we saw what we needed to see. Like the drama was in the re-entries of the players, and this is supposed to be calm before the storm. Honestly, I lucked out in podcasting this because this is like almost like recapping a game, like a sports game. So and the emotions are still running pretty high too with all the rivalries. People are trying to pitch the best cases to re-enter the game, and I think I don't know if Griffin's going to be an early boot or not, but he wants to bring some fireworks. But who knows how they're gonna affect him.
So I need you to put your Survivor producer cap on. So when Griffin was eliminated, he had an extra vote advantage. Does he still have that advantage now that he's re-entered into the game, or did that advantage become void upon getting voted out? I don't know. What would you say the rules should be?
Production cap on. I would say it. That's interesting. Well, let's think. Because if we look, say, at another CBS Survivor season, Winners at War, people who had to re-enter the game, they still didn't have any fire tokens.
Yeah,
but
I think Parvati got voted out with the idle nullifier, and it was expired as a result of that.
Okay, I actually had no idea about the nullifier.
Yeah, she got an idle nullifier. She's like, "Oh, yay!" And then she goes home like the following episode, the same episode. It's not your ideal proactive advantage.
Yeah, no, but I think he's got to. My rule would be survive the next round, and you could get it back.
Interesting. So kind of like not immediately, but you can get it back. I believe he and Stacey both have used her shot in the dark, so there's no question about whether that's live or not. Though you definitely could have seen players funnel their shots in the dark to Griffin on his reentry, but again, how does that work? I don't know.
No, but I think Casey, keeping it a mystery is what makes this episode more of a cliffhanger.
Yeah, because you could do if you could pretend like, hey, like as someone coming back from redemption, I have all these advantages and things that you can make it. There's a lot of lying potential. Now, do you want to lie? But you can lie.
Well, I'd be lying about this because there's a big philosophy in Survivor. If people think you have a gun, then they're not going to mess with you.
So we don't get to see very much of the merged tribe, right? Because we go straight from this last redemption to the tribal council, where the merged tribe, the 10 people, sans Griffin, will vote a player back in the game. And Casey asked for the players still out of the game, the remaining 7, to make a pitch of why they should come back in the game. Keenan, what would your pitch be like at that point if you're put in the spot and say, why should you come back in after being voted out?
this has never been done before, so it's a little hard to say.
Hmm.
All I could do is really just pitch that I'm my loyalty,
Hmm.
and but thing is, if you pitch your loyalty to your original gang, it'll only be your original gang voting you in. The others
Hmm.
will team up on you.
Hmm.
So I would just say that I would say I'm flexible. I would say that I'm just a little bit more flexible in these situations,
Hmm.
and whoever actually genuinely wants to keep me in this game, I'll do it. Uh, but
Yeah.
it is it is a it's definitely a very divided vote though.
Yeah, we see I think a lot of different strategies in this, right? We see Meredith who says, "Hey, I am brawn strong. You bring me back, I will roll with my brawn people," kind of pitching it to her original tribe, say, "Hey, really fight to get me back here because I'll be with you." We have, I think Connor and Stacy both kind of say, "Hey, we came here, we didn't know people. We're here to play and enjoy this and meet people, and we would love to keep playing." We have James kind of say, "I have information. You bring me back, that info is yours." I'm trying to think what else. We have Brianna who says Jordan has an idol. She just kind of drops it there and say, "Hey, I know this stuff. Jordan's an idol." Trying to think of the other pitches people were doing, but we kind of see a whole range in the pitches that people do. Um, David's kind of does something like you where he says, "Hey, like there's a lot I want to do, and I'll be a valuable asset to whoever keeps me in the game." Alyssa gives like a soliloquy of like lots of info, wants to get back, and she pitches, "I won't win. You bring me back, I'm not a threat because I'm not getting to the end game. If I do, I won't get votes." So it's
Well,
it's just an interesting range.
well, I think the valuing yourself is just not a bad idea because they're like, well, if you don't win, then we don't need to send you back into the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like people will take that seriously,
Mm-hmm.
and I think saying that outing someone's idol just right away, they have that information now. They don't need you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So just like show that's the equivalent of showing your poker hand.
Yeah, but it's also fun last minute revenge, right? Like, because what did Jordan do the main episode? Scramble, promise people, "No, I don't have it. It's the idol I played. I'm clean. I don't have everything." Like Jordan's on the back. Jordan has to now backtrack and clean up now that Brianna said this, which is something I was really excited to see because it's something I've been wondering for a while. Is like, what happens when all this idol knowledge is in redemption? Where will it go? The answer is, well, straight back in people's faces.
Well, well, I think revenge is definitely you could understand why. Like these people are coming from distances to play,
Mm-hmm.
no matter local or not. But when they get their dreams just shattered like that, as Survivor fans, as people say, I think I could be good at this game, but they don't want to go for all the stress and ridiculousness of
Mm-hmm.
going through CBS Survivor. I think when they just get it blatantly in their face that yeah, maybe I'm not cut out for this.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard pill to swallow, and they don't want to. And but I mean, the way I see it, there's two ways to look at it. You could swallow the pill and just say I'm not built for it, or you could actively just look for a solution. You might just get that little light bulb just
Mm-hmm.
shine right there, and who knows? However, I must say, in regards to Stacy entering the game, you could see it coming 1.6, aka a mile, kilometers away.
Really?
Let me rephrase that. You could see it coming 1 mile away or 1.6 kilometers.
Why? Why do you say that?
Stacy's built for live reality games. She's
That
got a
doesn't mean like
record.
she's necessarily like built to be voted back in the game. What makes you think that it was she was the obvious vote in?
There's some just very, very, very telling because it's very rare that I've seen Stacy make it pre-merge.
Mm-hmm. Same.
When she's in a tough situation, she fights herself out
Mm-hmm.
and she gives it. Like I remember in watching a Reelfoot season, she was destined to be voted out, but then someone found another Reelfooter, Michael O'Rear, to be just a bit of a bigger threat and wreck the split vote. It was going to be split on them, and they were going to flush Stacy's idol out,
Mm-hmm.
but someone reneged on the split. So honestly, just she's got a little bit of that. she's got that power to like persuade people, and I think she has made it to the end in a game before.
I know she made it to the end of Travis Riddler's Home for the Holidays. I know she made it to the end of that game. But Stacy generally makes very deep runs. She made a deep run in Survivor BC. She's made deep runs in Surviving Reelfoot. I mean, I don't know. This was such a fascinating tribal council because it just kind of erupts into chaos. And everyone's kind of fighting, debating. Like, clearly people didn't figure out who they wanted in ahead of time. Or rather, Griffin coming back changed things up. But the more I think about it, the more I do agree that Stacy makes sense, right? Because we think about the players who are out of the game, right? We have, at least prior to Redemption, we have 4 Brains players, 2 Brawn and 2 Beauty out, right?
Yeah.
And so we know there's these we have 4 Brawn and 4 Beauty members who are in the game, and they're not going to want to vote for either the players from the opposing tribe, right? They don't want to give those numbers to the opposing tribe. And so I think it naturally, a Brains player ends up being a safe choice as a result of that, where, you know, they're a player you can work with, and they're not going to be an easy number, right? To the other side. Even though, like, you know, like David from the original Brawn tribe, or like, I don't know, James from the original Brain tribe, who knows where their loyalties may lie anymore, but I think Stacy's a great choice in that she doesn't know any Beauty or Brawn, so she has none of those pre-existing connections. Maybe people think she's not a threat, or maybe think she's just a safe option in the grand scheme of things. But safe option or not, Stacy can play a mean social game, and so like I think it's kind of letting the wolf into the hen house, where we might see her like work some of her magic now that she's back.
I can't agree more there. We did see her have a small interaction, and it all seemed a little bit emotional. And it's like she said she was really moved by the speech, and that's why she voted her back in. Like, she's literally just just hugging everybody. Everyone's saying, "Oh, here's why I voted for you," yada yada yada. Imagine how awkward it's going to be for those who did not vote her back in.
Yeah. It was weird watching this tribal council because generally when players start voting, you don't talk. You're not allowed to talk, not allowed to strategize. I think it's something that should be stopped because nothing feels worse than being the first person to vote and everyone's strategizing behind your back as you're still voting, right? It's just not good. That's just not good for the game. But this is a bit of a weird vote, so I didn't mind the scramble continuing as people are voting, and so like everyone's fighting over who they want to vote in. You have 2 or 3 players who voted just kind of chilling on the side, or Jordan saying, "No, I played the idol. I swear it's gone."
Well, yes. I mean, there is that rule I've learned since playing these live games. That's just lockdown. No one can talk, but I will admit it's sometimes super, super, super tempting to just bite the bait and just say, "I want this." Like, has the rule actually ever been broke? Like, in another game, has the rule ever just been broken and someone's just lost a vote?
When I played Pirate Survival Expedition 2017, I was in the Minority Alliance, and just the way things worked, the first 3 people who voted were me and the 2 other people in my alliance. And while we were off voting or whatnot, the other alliance said, "Yeah, we're going to vote for this person."
That must have felt really good.
I mean, it was just like, well, now I learned my lesson, never vote first, right? It was just like, and I think they kind of stopped on it after that happening, but like, it was just kind of like, oh, I never thought that people would do that. And then they did.
Well,
I want to share a scene with you, Keenan, of one of my favorite parts of the episode.
Oh, please do.
And so let me share screen. And so this is just a brief snippet of the last episode.
Yeah.
So this is a messy, chaotic scene, but the reason why I love it is because who's in the center of that group right there? if not Hannah. Everyone is sitting around Hannah. She's like the center of this moment. And I don't know. We've sung a lot of praises about Hannah and her social game, but it just like cracked me up to just see her like just surrounded by everyone. Like everyone has come to her in this moment of strategy.
Yep. Was she the one that said, "I say Connor"?
Yes.
That's really, really, really powerful to me because Connor did try to vote her out on his way out. I don't think he saw his boot coming. Was that Connor that vote?
Yeah,
that was
Connor voted for her, but like I actually think if not Stacy, Connor would probably be the second best choice. Again, he has no connections. He's a new player. I think he's a little more dangerous because he's been burned by the Brains tribe. But like I think things could have been worked through and over. And honestly, I kind of just like him as an agent of chaos. Like him in that Showdown versus Alyssa was pretty fantastic. So like I was really rooting to see maybe Connor come back because of that.
Oh, he's definitely a wisecracker, that Connor. But no, I mean, I think if the Brains actually beauties, correct me, did actually vote Connor back in, I think that does kind of show like no bad blood, that there is no bad blood. I think it would have restored his faith a little bit more. Like there's so many sides of the spectrum. It's like, do you want revenge or do you bury the hatchet? But I think it's similar to at least the beginning of the merge, and similar to the merge in Pearl Islands, where we see one person rejoin their tribe and it's mutual disdain. Like we see Lillian join the Morgan tribe, it's mutual disdain, and then there's Burton joining the Drake tribe, and lots of people warm right up to him, and as a matter of fact, this is actually what I really wish I did with Casey when I had swapped with him to Yanoga. I wish I just explained my side a little bit more and made him a little bit more. I think he would have actually listened to that, would have been a little bit more understanding, and would have been willing to cooperate me, because he can see that, being practicing to be a social worker, he could learn that mindset. And we see, Burton and Rupert talk, and Rupert explains that, because he was a bit of a misfit growing up, Burton kind of gave him those reminders that, he still was a misfit with his like little snarky comments, and they buried the hatchet. But well, I'm told how long the peace will remain, and rounds later it did not remain. But back to Bloomington. It could be a similar case scenario, though, if Connor re-enters. Like, he works with them at first, he's helping them pick off a few brains and beauties, but when it's time, it just kind of maybe goes rogue. But that is not a case scenario that is happening. We see Miss Nastasia enter the game along with Griffin.
What do you think Stacey and Griffin should do? Like, what do you think they should do to really capitalize on this momentum of re-entering the game?
Well, I think those who voted for them to be back in the game, they voted them back in for a reason. Like with Stacey, particularly, for a reason. If Stacey and Griffin are working together from Brain, I think that they can find some footing with those people and temporarily take majority. It's not as easy as it looks, because amongst Braun, there's some real strongholds there. However, those strongholds are just as vulnerable. And on Beauty, there's definitely a stronghold there. Devontae and Boogie seem to bury the hatchet, with Devontae being left out of the last vote. Like, despite that, they seem to have had their hatchet buried there, but they could also be a strong force that could be taken down, as Hannah and Mia have voiced some disdain for that pair. But we also and they could be swung against them. For Braun, we see, I think Adam is just calling the shots there. I don't, but I think if the sooner they realize that's Adam, he's gone. Go on.
Yeah, because the tribe dynamics are just completely different from 10 to 12, because bringing back 2 Brains tribe members means we have 4 Brawn, 4 Beauty, and 4 Brains, half men, half woman, right? Like everything is even, all according to plan, right? So in regards just what this tribe looks at. And so I really think we're gonna see Brains versus Braun, and no, sorry, we're gonna see Beauty versus Braun, and Brains are kind of caught in the middle. That's where I'm thinking this could go. Do you agree with that, or do you think it might look something different?
I think actually, like you say, Beauty's caught. Brain, is it
So
Brain that's caught in the middle?
Braun another, Red versus Blue, and the Brains tribe, the Yellow tribe, is in the middle of that.
Oh no, actually, that's very predictable. Like I think that puts Stacy and Griffin in swing positions.
Mm-hmm.
As I did mention, on Blue, there are some powerful people there
Mm-hmm.
running Blue, and on Red, we see powerful people running Red. Like I said, it could be Devontae and Buggy
Mm-hmm.
versus Adam and Rosie. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a showdown. They are just going to have to gamble on a Brain vote, but I think Brain might be a little bit more likely to turn on Braun because Dallas is onto them. They tried to get Dallas out, and he, like I just said, Dallas got him.
And well, I think my prediction is that the first vote or two is going to be very much of a take down one of the tribe. Like, so either two Beauty or two Braun. One of the two is losing two members, right? And so maybe it's Rosie or Adam first, or maybe it's going to be Devontae and Jordan first. Like, one side's going to lose numbers, and then things are just going to disintegrate. Because, I think you have Stacy's wary of her brain stripe. She's been voted at once. Hannah's building connections with other people. I think Megan Wolf is an extremely able slide player. I think you have Dallas and Griffin who are gonna like be lords of the middle of this game. Who knows where Brains Megan wants to go too? I think there's just a lot of I think there's just gonna be a lot of info. I just think we're gonna start with a kind of a two tribes trying to pull the Brains tribe to either side, and it's just gonna devolve from there. Maybe even like San Juan del Sur, where like maybe Brains gets up, maybe Beauty gets the upper hand, takes out Adam, and then maybe Devontae's next to go after that. I don't know.
Yes, like Josh and Jeremy.
Yeah.
But this could also, since it's a three tribe season, there could be just one very Taku 4 esque team.
And maybe that's the Brains tribe. Maybe like Braun and Beauty just self-destruct so much that the final six has 4 brains in it.
That's a very, very, very high possibility, but we can but that also opens up for that same Taku 4 to just self-destruct at the end, and the person who does crack him takes it all to the end. Like takes it all to the end and wins it all.
So Keenan, you're talking about Endgame. Who is your merge winner pick?
Merge winner pick. Jesus. Merge winner pick. I am putting my eggs in Dallas's basket.
Wow. Okay. Oh, man. I'm so biased towards Hannah. That said, like I'm gonna put 3 people out, one from each starting tribe. I think it's either Griffin from the Brains tribe, followed by or Megan from the Broad tribe, or it's gonna be Hannah from the Beauty tribe.
Okay, I can see why Hannah's in there, and I can see why you're an advocate for Hannah. You've done a few podcasts with her.
I mean, no one else in starting Bloomington has voted me out. So what can I say? And Keenan, I think Dallas agrees with you for your winner pick.
Well, you're very impressive by far there, Dallas. You've dodged 2 eliminations, and you know what? Maybe you'll just be so visible that you'll keep dodging. But time's gonna tell. Time is going to tell. Don't spoil things for me, okay, Dallas? You know, if you just say, "Oh, by the way, I do win, Keenan." Well, you know what? I don't want to watch the season anymore.
No, you have to watch the coordination edit. That's why you have to watch it.
Okay. I'll subject myself.
Yeah.
But no, I think Hannah, like I think why you would say Hannah, it's for very similar reasons to why I say Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he gets himself out of a tight crevice so easily,
mm-hmm.
and he does it like it's nothing, and he does it with confidence, and he plays the oh shit, I'm going home card, like he did when he was on Red. He's like, oh, going home, no, 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 and bam. Same way Hannah at her first tribal, like she's playing dead in the water, but it's literally we could almost call it Allie Gabler, just taking a nice little bite out of Connor, having Connor for Din Din.
Hannah, you need to create a portmanteau with your name, please, for us. Well, I think we're wrapping up here. I'm curious to see who is your player of the week, and it's a bit of a weird episode because of just how it was arranged. So, but who do you think who really stood out to you this episode?
This episode, well, I could just take a cheap shot and say it's the winners of the Redemption Island duels, but
yeah, I think there's a high chance that you say Stacy, I say Griffin, or vice versa.
Yeah, I think actually I'm gonna hand it to Boogie here for a small reason. Correct damage control after tribal.
Mm-hmm.
He did the perfect damage control. Devontae's on good terms with him, and it could just be a good layup. That's what I think, because like if you look like you don't see much going on Red at all, really.
Mm-hmm.
You see a little bit of a disdain with the girls on blue side, but then there's just Boogie. He cuts right to bury the hatchet.
Okay, so I think I will have to choose. I think I will choose one of the two redemption players. I'm trying to debate, like, both are impressive, right? Stacy gives a pitch and is able to come back in thanks to her pitch. But, winning two heads-up challenges like that in a do-or-die moment, it's hard not to be really in awe of what Griffin did to be able to work your way back in the game like that. I think I will, because for variety's sake, I think I am going to go Stacy, just because making a clutch pitch like that on the spot when you didn't know it was coming to make it happen. All right, Adam is giving his bloom to the Griffin, so it's hard, and so I think I'm leaning towards Stacy, but then both of them deserve for getting back in the game, because both had hard tasks to get back in. One involved beating. I think what Griffin beat 5 people total in between the two challenges, and Stacy was able to make a case, and it was persuasive enough, and also just be enough in a spot that she was a valid option. So I'm gonna go with Stacy, but it's hard saying no to Griffin. I like your reasons for Boogie. I think that's a solid prop. And I don't know who else would be eligible. I don't probably yeah. So I think Stacy, Griffin, Boogie, I think are the three top runners of the week.
Yeah, and with that, Steven, I actually do respect a little bit more of the cheap shots for the returnees into the game.
Brianna gets a call out too. That was quite entertaining, and I think I had the impact she wanted.
Yeah, but I just think that it's there's a lot more validation to it, because like you just said, Griffin beat so many people just to get back in.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is a big climb to just climb all over all of them. But that being said, these people on Redemption Island are like out now.
Yeah, they're out. They're now spectators.
Now spectators. They're now in production. But you know what? It's I could also hand it to Stacy for putting in that clutch as well. Like you just said, she didn't know. She didn't know she was gonna have a chance to get back into the game. These people are thinking it's all done, all over, but also, like I said, Stacy's had experience in these things, so that's why I say you can see it coming 1.6 kilometers away.
Well, Keenan, is there anything else you want to say about this episode or Surviving Bloomington as we wrap up then?
Well, I do really look forward to the next airing. Do we know when that's going to be?
If it's like the past episodes, it'll probably be this coming Saturday at 7 p.m. Central Time, so 5 p.m. Pacific Time.
Saturday?
Yes.
All right. fascinating. With that being said, I am absolutely ready to do some more catching up on Survivor Bloomington. I'm really excited to see how these play out,
Mhm.
and if we're gonna see some big names go soon, you might as well just enjoy them while they last, because at the rate it's going, I don't think they're gonna be in there very long.
Well, thank you, Keenan, so much for your time. I really enjoyed talking with you. If you want to see more about Keenan, check out Survivor BC Tribulation, the season he played in the pandemic 2020. Just aired on YouTube in a 3-episode abbreviated fashion, I believe. So those episodes are out, so you can see his game. You can also go to the Surviving Reelfoot to catch up the live feeds from him and KC playing in Surviving Reelfoot season 10 as well. But thank you all for tuning in and listening. Stay tuned. We'll be back more next week with covering hopefully episode 8, Surviving Bloomington, and we'll see where this merge goes. Have a good day, everyone.